This tractor right here usually is used in low clearance areas quite a bit, and that's why the roll bar is down. And just a word of caution, if your roll bar is down, then you don't want to put your seatbelt on, because then you don't have the protection. But I can't get underneath my barn, actually, or in this garage with it up, and so I don't really go anywhere where it would be dangerous anyway. But having said that, putting the lights up here, what usually happens is going around the lawns and stuff, they get wrecked. Even if you put them on the inside, I've still had issues with it. So all I've done is hooked up a work light on the back and one here, and these are aux beams, AUX beam, and they swivel. There's a place where you can loosen it up and tighten it up. The problem I got right now is on the switch. When I turn the switch on the tractor, turn the lights on, you get nothing. And then I come over here and screw with this little T connector I got, and I can see what the problem is right there. So I'm gonna have to unhook this and replace that. When I put this in, you have to take this whole panel off right here, and it's pretty simple. And what I ended up doing was tapping in to the tail lights, because that's connected to the light switch, and so that's the easiest way to do that. In actuality, I really only needed a work lamp, and the amount of times that I would actually be outside in the dark is very small. I don't usually work outside after dark, and I guess that's one of the benefits of being retired, is I don't need to do that. But certainly if you work all week and then you get home, especially in the wintertime, it's dark when you get home, so you kind of have to make do with what you have. Now the problem I had by getting in here like this is that you don't have a lot of wire in there, and so it looks like it was a good connection too. So I don't know why. A lot of people have these big, I hate Ledgemere knives because the round part is on the inside and Gerber's the round part's on the outside. So when you're putting your hands on it, you're actually grabbing something round rather than something sharp. But since I was a little kid, I've always had Swiss Army knives. They're my favorite. They don't take up a lot of space in my pocket, and I can do everything with them. One thing I've been struggling with lately is how much stuff do I need really here, and how much extra tractor parts and pieces do I have, and you can't keep everything. So do I sell it? What do I do? What do you think? I've got two cubs. One has a fast hitch, one doesn't, and I've got the 140 with a fast hitch, so the cub attachments fit the 140 and vice versa. You just have to be careful because the 140 attachments, a lot of them are bigger, so you just have to know that. But the old cub I have doesn't have a fast hitch, and so everything is like manually installed with a whole bunch of mounting brackets and everything else. So I'm just thinking about, do I really need all this stuff? I've already got it on the fast hitch. Like for example, fast hitch plows for the 140, they also fit the cub. I've got like 3 sets of them. I've got a set of cub drag harrows. Alright, so here's the proverbial moment of truth, right? Let's see. Light switch on, key switch on. There you go. Light switch. The problem you get with these connectors a lot of times is you get moisture in there and that corrodes the copper. And so the only real thing you can do about it is you can wrap it with electrical tape. A good, like Scotch Super 33 is one of my favorites because it's still elastic and still sticks even when it's really cold. And the cheap stuff, even the Scotch that doesn't come in the little plastic tray isn't that great. I usually get the ones that come in it's a little plastic cup. So I was able to get some slack and tuck it up here under the roll bar, so that'll help it some. And then that should take care of that problem. What was weird is when I was taking these bolts out, you've got 2 different types of screws that go in here. You've got just these hex cap screws that screw into the frame, but there's already like a nut welded into the fender. And that's one thing I like about Mahindra over like John Deere is you get a real hood. Those stupid poly John Deere hoods, I hate them so much. I've disintegrated at least 3 on lawnmowers. And the last John Deere utility tractor I had a poly hood too, which I thought was garbo. I mean, they'll say John Deere's like advertisement for it will be like, well, it's plastic, it doesn't rust or dent, it bounces. Well, it doesn't bounce when it's cold. I'll tell you that for a fact. I used to be a big fan of John Deere before they got greedy. Now I just think they're greedy. Where are we at? Where are we going? Broody hens right here. We've got this one and this one, and in March I'm gonna put some eggs under them so they can hatch, but I want to show you the quality of a good broody hen right now. Well, it turns out, as luck will have it, that I ended up using that ground strap that I was going to put on the Super A 130 whatever. I put it on the Super C last fall and I forgot about it. So I gotta get another one. Nice spell of warm weather. It was 60 something and then it went down to 12 and it's snowing again. At least the wind's not blowing anymore. It demolished my carport and made a big mess. Windows out of the barn, flipped the farm stand over. I was in Oz here for a little bit. Hey Violet. Hey Henry. Looks like you guys wrecked another stock tank heater, didn't you? This video you're watching today is kind of a medley of different videos I've been putting together over the last week or so, and this is kind of the culmination of it. I got the hood back on, and I know that we've said this is like a Franken tractor, and we've changed out a lot of parts on it, but going forward, we're just going to call it the Super A. It's got a Super C motor in it, it's got a 130 rear end, and Super A front end and hydraulic pump, touch control unit, and there was a few other things. So it was like a 51, 52, 53, 54, 56. But anyway, we're just going to call it a Super A. From now on, it's just a 54 Super A because it's tall like the A1 would be, but obviously it's not an A1. It's a Franken tractor that somebody slapped together. And so I've got everything back together. I've got the carburetor on. I've got the gas turned on. Most of the stuff I've got on right now is just kind of hand tight, a little bit better than hand tight, but I kind of want to make sure everything works before I crank everything down and put everything together. So I've got spark. I found spark here. You can see that right there, maybe flashing. I lied now, it was a minute ago. Problem with this tractor when I got it had been sitting outside and everything was really weather beaten, and so all the electrical connections were really kind of hokey, and I did fix a lot of them. I used little wire brushes like these right here, and use a little bit of emery cloth and the file in some places. Mostly I've run new wires. I got a brand new coil. It's a new 6-foot coil. Of course they're made in China. You can't just get good stuff anymore. And you know, you're just stuck with buying junk. But so when I got the switch on, everything's wired up tight. And then when I had nothing. And I did a minute ago, I swear I had spark a minute ago. Let's try tightening that up a little bit and see what happens. I don't have it now. I did a minute ago. Like I said, everything's just kind of on. The electrical connections are tight because it won't work if you don't. I'll take this off here. What I'll do is I'll put this back for a minute. I'll put this in here and make sure it snaps in good and tight. I'll put this back in here like that, and then we'll wind her over again. I'm going to change the spark plugs, and I know it drove in here on its own, but when I look at the spark plugs on it, they're not the same. You can see the one on the right is an NGK, and the one on the left is a Autolite 3116, which is the plug that's supposed to be in, and the problem is getting these out because what happens is they sit in against the block, and then I can't get a wrench on it. Now the NGK has a smaller 13/16 nut here, and this one's got it 3/4. It is 13/16. The Autolite is 7/8, and you can see when you put that on that that shoulder's going to keep it up out of the block. So it makes it a lot easier for the next time you've got to change your plugs to get in there and grab it with the socket. What I don't like doing is changing too many things at once, and I think I already have. I changed the carburetor and a couple other things. But I know I'm getting spark. I know there's fuel in the carburetor. And if the switch was bad, then I wouldn't be getting spark because the spark would be shut off. Fortunately, I had a 1/2-inch drive 13/16 socket that's kind of more thin wall, and I want to show you this. And they're both Craftsman, but you see this one here, how it's thinner. I was able to get in there and get them out because, like I said, these shoulders on here, they're right in the block and they're real hard to get at, so I'm only getting just barely a little bit here. When I put spark plugs in, some people crank them right in there, and I just like them snug them up. I guess if I use 2 wrenches, I'll have both sizes like I'm supposed to. The Autolites have a bigger shoulder on them. I never crank them in. It's snug, not cranked. I don't pull out all the plugs at the same time unless I've got them lined up, but then there's always a good chance they're going to drop and be off, so I just do one at a time. If I do 2, then I set them aside from each other. Okay, you see that? Well, that's PB Blaster. Let me get the next one out because I didn't put PB Blaster on the next one, so that'll tell me for sure if we're getting gas in there or not. Actually, I wouldn't think you'd get PB blaster inside there, but it must have. So this one here, I didn't put PB blaster on. Hopefully with this spark plug wrench here, it'll come right out. And I'll let you know if we're getting. I don't like the reef on them, because if you do that and you snap them off in the block, then you're really hosed. There's your spark plug right there. It looks pretty dry to me. Got oil in it. Got a lot of carbon on it. I'm gonna do this one more thing tonight, and then, you know, when I was growing up, my father would always say, do it for a while until you get frustrated, and then once you get ugly with it, it's time to call it a day before you break something. My father was a cabinet maker, and so he preferred to bake things out of wood. He stayed a lot cleaner that way, which made my mother happy. My brother that passed away, he was really good with Farmall tractors getting them running. He could have come over here in 2 seconds and had this thing running. Since he passed away, I've kind of lost interest in a lot of things. Alright, so that's all hooked up. I'll pull the switch on. And then we'll give her a go and see what we got. So we're getting spark. I don't know if you can see that flashing or not. I'll bring you over here so you can see. I'm going to give it one more shot. If it doesn't work right now, I'm going to call it a day. Switch on. Double check the fuel. The fuel's on. I got spark. Let's give her a pull. One more try. Snowing. Stuff coming out of the smokestack there. Hold on. Get a good 6-volt switch anymore. Try them things and just you're done. You see the spark shooting out of that? I don't like that at all. Should be turning right over. These switches, man, I'm telling you, they jump. The pin back in the starting lever. And that coming off and causing a short. I'm gonna end up burning that switch up if I keep pulling on it. The old schoolhouse, it was a consolidated school. I went to K through 6. A lot of people graduated from here back in the day, but I just came to get to the town report. We've just got an annual report of the year, and I wanted this one. Well, I get one every year anyway, but they honor somebody every year from the town. There's one dedicated to my father before he passed away, and there's one here for my brother, who just passed away in December. Apartment for over 40 years, and I mowed beside the road for over 40 years old. Well, I'm going to take my own advice. I'm going to call it a day before I end up blowing everything up, including myself. I don't know if you can see the smoke coming out of there. I'm going to unhook that battery and put a new 6-volt switch on the starter before I ruin everything. I think it'll go, and we'll try it again next time. Thank you for watching. Everybody take care. Goodbye.